Good morning and welcome to the Point. It is Tuesday, January 26, 2021. Thank you to those of you joining us on the GBN Grenada Broadcasting Network's Facebook page, the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel, the website www.gbn.gd, GBN TV channel 7, 11 and 20, and good morning to the listeners of Classic 105.5, 105.9. Thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. This morning I have joining me as my guest is NDC's caretaker for the South and former workers representative in the Senate, Ray Roberts, a former colleague. I could call him a still colleague. He's still a colleague. Good morning, Mr. Roberts. How are you?
Morning, Blossom. As happy as ever. Good to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Happy New Year. Hey, Mr. Roberts, you're looking a little bit dark on the TV. You could change your, you swing a little to your left a little bit to take out some of the light behind your back.
All right. If you want me to make some adjustment, I can certainly make some adjustment.
Yes, go a little bit again.
All right.
Ooh, more light over there, sir.
Yeah. Hold on. Is it working this way?
Ah, that's right. You're sitting in a perfect spot, blocking out. Go back up on the chair.
Go back on the chair.
Yes, and bring the chair where it was.
Higher chair.
Yes, and bring the chair so you could block out the light from the window. Sorry about that to our viewers and listeners.
No problem.
It wasn't looking like that when we started.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I hope I'm better off now.
No problem at all. We work with the technology as best as we can. Yes, that's looking a little bit brighter. Right. So let's get into it, Mr. Roberts. We're going to start, first of all, you know what? Let's start with party business, and then we're going to get into national business. So as NDC's caretaker for the South, what are some of the latest happening, not just in the South, but the party greasing its election machinery, getting ready for elections, which are still due for 2 years or so, but still getting ready for that fight that is soon to come?
Well, thanks for the invitation, and I want to say a pleasant morning to all Grenada, Carriacou, and PD Martinique, and in particular to our NDC supporters. Just that things are the way you want them. I know it is difficult times, but we all have to keep the faith and work within whatever boundaries we are limited to at this time, because it's just not Grenada, it's across the world. Well, from a party perspective, I would want to start by certainly highlighting our women's they have been reinvigorated, re-energized, and I would say in the last 2 months, they have been the most active of all the party organs, I would say. And they have been doing some very relevant work. As you realize, this period, many of our women are disenfranchised because of COVID. I mean, down in the South in particular, you can say that with the SGU out of business in terms of the ordinary workers, and some of these people were weekly, monthly, they work in their apartments, they supply services and goods. There were people supplying agriculture and so forth. That's not available because there's actually a campus that is down to a very limited number of people, not good enough that would bring significant business. So our women's group, what they have been doing in the last, I would say, 3 months, is to focus the membership on the challenges of society, behavioral changes, managing the little resources you have, understanding that manna doesn't just drop from heaven. You certainly have to cope and understand that life has its challenges. And they have utilized people of skills to communicate that message. Much of it being done via the technology that we're using, but the response, awesome, tremendous. So I would say Sister Hillary, who is the chairman of the group, and Maria Pascal Roberts, they have led very well. And I think it's something we will certainly want to take to the villages, because they are the people who have been hurt the most by COVID. I mean, imagine a year ago you had income. I mean, I spoke to some people, and I speak to people every day because I live in the village, and you were cleaning an apartment for $50. You'll do 2 a day or 3 a day. So you had $150. At the end of the week, you may have $500, $700, $800, $1,000, depending. the people who are selling their barbecue and their Kentucky, well, not Kentucky, barbecue and fried chicken. And that is down to the limit because many people, many of us really can't afford to buy out. So what we do home, we have to stretch it as much as possible. So that's where our women's group been trying to communicate the basic message. And that is important. It cannot be overlooked because it brings a sense of comfort to some. I mean, imagine you believe that you're the only one in the world who this pressure is on. You have children, light bill to pay. Well, the water is a normal fee, but as you know, the light bill could get beyond a certain point and you have to pay. There is no credit. 3 months break, that's great. But the point I'm making here is that our women's group have been reaching out and they have been doing a pretty good job. And even at one stage, we have had Brother Nazim, I can call his name, doing with the workers an understanding of their manifesto. Why a manifesto is structured, well, not the workers, the women again, structured as it is, and why they should look at it and encourage people to look at it and see the content. So there may be something that in 2023 or before, whenever it comes, you can share with people and you can hold those who have written it accountable. So really and truly, that has been one of the major positives, I would say, despite the challenges, despite a party with little or no financial resources. Then we have had some constituencies who have elected new, as required by our constitution, to elect new constituency branches. The latest is Southeast St. George, and we want to commend Brother Elliot Bishop. He is the chairman, elected chairman last Thursday, I think, and all the other members who were elected. The idea is to reinvigorate these groups, and as you know, Blossom, it can be business as usual because there's COVID, so you can't just walk about willy-nilly. You have to do things that are pleasing to the people that you are going to visit. And more important, we all have to, and our party want to encourage everybody to observe and to respect every COVID protocol. We can't escape it. It is foolish to say it doesn't exist. It exists, and therefore, as much as you hate it, just understand you must cooperate and do it. And we are trying to get that message across, not just to our party members, but to all Grenadians.
Do you have intentions, plans of contesting the next general elections in the South?
Well, the party will contest, but let me put it this way. We have a democratic process. We don't have a king, an emperor. So there are people who are contesting and vying. When the time reach, those who are interested will make themselves available, and a party meeting will be called. Well, we do have a meeting in the South. There's one on Monday. We do it via Zoom, and sometimes we do it openly in a center where 6 feet is accessible. So South, we have not really had a ceasing activity. The ceasing activity is really the fact that you cannot socialize as you did before COVID. So that has taken away some of the merriment because, as you know, after meeting, you will have some people who would be entertaining, some would bring refreshments, but that's not possible anymore because we're from different homes. So that does not allow it. But whatever can be done by Zoom, we try to make the most of it. So to answer your question, we have many people who are interested in the South, and I suppose in all the other constituencies, nobody picks that person. The membership is called together at an appropriate time, supervised by what we call an election committee. And there goes whoever gets the nod and the approval of the party, then you go forward. I would certainly like to see a young, talented person like you, not necessarily you, but somebody as smart as you, particularly a young female, emerge. I think that would be great for Grenada. I think we need to, I am one of those who have a conviction that women seems to be able to do much more than men. I think too many of our men are fading by the wayside. We focusing on, I would call it absolutely nonsense. I'm a man, so I have to, defend the male, but too many of us are wasting precious time, and too many bright ones seemingly choose the wrong side of life. I would say women seems to be the ones who have a more calculated brain and a brain that could take Grenada beyond the nonsense that we are presently in.
But do you have the interest to contest again?
Well, I live with hope every day. Let's put it this way. I have never been, let's put it this way. I'm not looking for a job and will not be looking for a job. That's the first thing. But I think my faculties, all faculties are functioning as far as I know very well. I do what the doctor recommends. I do a lot of exercising, 10, 12 hours a week. And I am just like the PM. I do a lot of exercising and keep fit and vary my diet. So to answer your question, if there isn't a young, talented, and may I say, smart person as you and I'm called upon, there's no reason why I wouldn't go.
Okay, just checking. All right, so let's move on now to issues that have been prevalent over the past few weeks as 2021 started, and I'll start with the current issue involving public servants and teachers. And what I say, the battle continues. As a former workers' representative in the Senate yourself and somebody who has been involved in the trade union movement, how the situation has been unfolding as the teachers and the public servants try to get that 4% interest. What are your thoughts on how the situation is unfolding and the battle that is currently on?
Well, I hope there isn't a battle because really and truly, in all fairness, I think the climate certainly is not the climate we would want to see battles. We would want to see a sort of holistic approach to everything. But you see, you could only create a climate when each player plays by a moral rule, because there's no court rule to tell you how to behave, but the court will deal with you if you behave outside of the law. So I'm saying that to say that let's go back to 2013 when the current government won the elections. The trade unions, of which I was General Secretary of the TUC, we really had our difficulties in accepting income tax or return to income tax, because remember, in 1995, the current government abolished personal income tax if you were not making $5,000 a month. So under 60,000, you were going home with everything. And I may tell you, at that time, less than 10,000 people in Grenada were making 5,000. I think it was around 8, according to the statistics that we saw. So just a few people were paying personal income tax. The workers' movement, including the public sector workers, TAU, everybody, teachers, went along with that. They journeyed with the process. They were deducting money from their salaries, that's teachers, public servants. And let's put it this way, it was in the greater interest, the interest of Grenada. And so many other concessions were made. The workers certainly gave their unwavering support to the government. Before elections of 2018, we had unions and government having dialogue. A promise was made to deal with the pension issue. And I may tell you, Blossom, it's not something people as you should take lightly. I was your age and I was sitting in the same chair you were in. Well, this is a long time later. And the consequences of ignoring your youth in terms of your future going to have a lot of pain. So the unions have reached a stage where they have been deceived by the government, undoubtedly deceived. And these things have boiled up. And then to compound the issue again, and then let's take this Grenada issue. You know, I am still astonished that there are enablers, and I see quite a number of enablers and programs championing that issue. Why, I still ask the question, any government would want to have gone that far, go to legislate. I was in Parliament in 2016 to try to create a scenario that clearly the employer has a temper also, and has a likeness and a dislikeness. So when you go back to that era, you would see where 2021 came into play. I'm saying that to say now, the best private sector company in Grenada is a company called Grenrec, which was privatized by the NDC in It is the best decision we have made in Grenada during that era. That era, I worked in the radio station. There was a Delco, a generator, you want to call it, that didn't work. To get the news, we had to find the engineer. Jay was the engineer, and Mr. Jeremiah and Mr. Cape, and they all of that, well, except G. But the point I'm making, anybody in that era will tell you, you had a fridge, it was off because there was no current. So whatever happened then occurred 20-something years ago. The company has matured itself into the best private sector company in Grenada. They have developed a world-class group of workers, unchallenged. Grenada has a world-class team of workers, unparalleled in this country. The best health and safety program in the country, Grenada. They pay profit sharing. I have friends. I can't buy most times. At Christmas, they treat you because we don't have that luxury. Considering the most important one though, I live in Cadiz area. I don't have a candle in the house. Grenwick provides me with light every living day. I was shocked to hear the Honorable Minister talk about load shedding. That was 20-something years ago when he was manager. So I'm saying, now that I'm going to conclude on your point, having said all what I have said there, we are now at the stage where you could find $63 million US. You find it under the mattress, because all this ceiling and thing doesn't exist in reality. Fellas bright as the Prime Minister and Mr. Bowling also asked the same question. Patrick Antoine, Toes and Jew, these are bright fellas just as the Prime Minister. They were, Toes was the permanent secretary actually, so he knows where you find this kind of money. So when you do that, and then upon that, you say you have a growth for 2021 of 6% with absolutely no tourism. I'm on the beach every day. I'm the only tourist on Gardens Beach. Sometimes I walk from top to bottom, and I say to somebody, the people with chairs, I'm penniless, so I can't rent a chair. So when you give that scenario, it is obviously going to impact negatively on workers. So I am saying to the government, in view of the scenario you created, you need to make good. And to make good, I think they should find the 4% and begin a new relationship that could be based on sincerity, not trickery. Too much trickery in Grenada these days. I mean, you listen to the debate in the Senate, in the Parliament. And a young lady who I have respect for, I mean, I will repeat what she said. I'm so embarrassed at making the wrongs on social media. I mean, you can't promise up lower electricity rates. Grenada is, I think, 3 cents more than St. Vincent, 4 cents more than Barbados. So let's not go fooling people with these things. So I would say to the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance, gentleman who I like a lot, Minister Bowen, and my good friend, very good friend, we still remain very good friend, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Brother Oliver Joseph. I still call him brother. He was Vice President in the Public Workers for about 15 years. I was PRO. I stayed there for 25. And I'm saying to them, they should find a way of making good with that 4%. And thereafter, we can treat with the remaining increases for 22, I think 23, and see how we can get a balance. But right now, there's distrust. Even though the government may carry out its decision that it can't pay, but too many people are hurting. The people who are retiring, my good friend, I mean, he worked with the police for how many years? And he said to me, I fishing now. At 66, I fishing now. So we have to treat with this thing, because he's picking up, as he says, just about 1,000 in the NIs. Could that mind he and a wife and kids? Well, grandkids or whatever it is. So I would say again that we have to treat these things as is a serious issue. We cannot just say it's the bigger picture, as I hear somebody enable us are saying. There is also something called decency. Don't trick me, because when I find you trick me, you know what you're going to do. And you may have had a relationship where people might have tried it and you are not succeed, but you are smart. Some of us not that smart. We take your word for granted.
You may see it as maybe a trickery But the argument could be made from government side that you've seen the toll COVID-19 has taken on us in 2020. The money that we had saved, we used it to repurchase the shares in Grand Lake. We don't have more. Even the Prime Minister has said, don't worry where the money come from to repurchase it. We'll get to that in a short while. But the argument could be made, we just don't have it. Should workers, public servants, the people fighting to get them that 4% increase, the rest of us who are in solidarity, should we accept that the government just doesn't have it to give?
Well, first of all, you said you pick up 63 million under the mattress, because this savings doesn't exist. I mean, let's face it, I worked with government for 36 years or thereabout. And I was finished in management. Well, from since the late 1998 come right up. So I can tell you I have an understanding of the public service and how monies are spent. And I'm saying that maybe you could take it from this. I understand what the Prime Minister says. It's not a one-off. It is going to be added. But relationship is very important. Remember, I'm not married. My mother was. I have brothers who are married and sisters who are married. I'm not. So I'm a loner, but I try to do one thing, which is try to understand if I hurt you, how can I mend that relationship? And I'm saying the government could only mend that relationship now by going the extra mile, going back under the mattress, see what is left. And hopefully CBI could sustain it. We have never seen an account. I mean, look, sometimes I sit here and I listen to this grenade and I say, I served 4 years in the parliament. I have never ever seen an account or an audited account of CBI. Never seen it. I've asked many people, have you seen it? Nobody has seen it. So we have sold certainly over 5,000 passports or more, 250,000 US and more for it. And I'm saying, where does that money go? I mean, we don't have any, let's put it this way, we don't have any data that is substantial that was audited by a recognized firm in Grenada or abroad. All we know that there's a CBI and we see Kiwana Hotel going up, somebody sell passport there, another one in St. Patrick's and everybody jump in joy, people selling Grenadian passport. You know, I have my negatives about this thing too. But you look at Dominica and you could see where some of it going. They're paying for the students in Tam-Sisi. We build in hotels. The hotel's not ours. We can't take it. So non-Grenadians, and may I say too, what hurts me the most, some of these people coming here and voting. In the last election in the South, I saw about 100 of them voting. They can't speak English. So they're really voting for who? Bring them here. And I'm saying, that is so absurd. My mother lived in the States for how many years? 30-something years. She could have only voted when she became a citizen. Why are these people? I mean, we have to find a way not to. I mean, if you're a legitimate Caribbean person, I can understand actually, I could live with what exists. But to a man buy a passport and come here and enjoy the same privilege as I am enjoying, I mean, we have to be a shameless team of leaders to be encouraging things like that. So I'm saying, no citizenship by investment. We have not seen any audited statement. Although I check, cannot find me one, and they're asking to. I'm saying to you that maybe there's money in the kitty. Let's hope that the journey continues. But Blossom, there's hardly any way out because the relationship is not going to get better. Workers are going to be frustrated. They may not be doing the providing the service that we all want for Grenada. A lot of things could happen. So I agree, maybe the COVID thing has merit, but so too the workers' claim. So too, you've been deceiving me. I mean, why some relationship don't build back? Because the woman or perhaps the man has had enough. And if there's a way to make up, then it must be done amicably. It can be done on your terms. Have you seen gas? Oil and gas?
Yep.
Well, I don't know. Maybe in Granny can make still.
One person, I just can't remember exactly who it was, but one person recently said that In 2020, 2021, government will say they do not have the 4% increase for public workers and teachers, but closer to elections, which are due in 2023, they will be able to source the funds and use that as election gimmick, for lack of a better phrase. Do you think this is a possibility? Do you have that suspicion?
Well,
is it possible?
Put it this way. I like to rise above these things. As I say to people, there has to be a realistic thing in life, because whether you like it or not, this government is not going to be there forever. I mean, my good friend Chester Humphrey told me when I reached 40, I think 45, he said, you're beginning to come down. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, boy, it's 3 scores and 10. We all want to make more than that. Well, I think that tells you the story that I really want to see without calling names. So really and truly, the kingdom will end at some point, and somebody else will take over. So we must not just think for today, we must think beyond today. And I'm saying, I recognize what the government is saying. I'm not ignorant of what the government is saying. I manage myself, I think, pretty well. I don't spend willy-nilly because I get the money, I go and have a good time. I pay my bill on time, I pay my property tax. I've already insured my car. Somebody may say, I had the money. I say, no, I budget for it. I used to be in a Susu, pay 2 Susu, one for my car, insurance, one for my house. And I learned that after I run. So I understand what we all go through. But again, as I said to you, the challenge we face is that our government has deceived the workers. You cannot deceive people, poor people in particular, ordinary people. Look, there are people in the service. When I was in the parliament, they appointed, I think, 100 and something teachers and others. Now, I have one of the documents with me. That one person with qualification of teachers college, everything, did 18 years before she was appointed. And eventually, when she was appointed, she said to me, but Brother Ray, I'm now 40. My daughter is in some part of the college away, and she aspires to be a lawyer. She said, well, first of all, I couldn't get a loan from the bank to build a house. I couldn't do anything because I was a worker, a teacher, nothing happened. Now, that is a scenario everybody can associate themselves with. When you're 18, life is, you're not going to get old. I am amazed to see the amount of gray hair in the last 5 years. There was none in my head. I get up in the morning and I just see, look, it's like somebody planted them. I don't bother with it anymore because that's a natural process. So I'm saying getting old is a natural process. And when you deceive people in their young age, and most of these workers who are taking the stand now are workers who have been there for a while, they're not appointed, they're really not going anywhere. In fact, I'm told right now there may be a balance between public officers who are public service conformed and what we used to call the 340s, plus temporary workers. So you're at a stage now where you're weeding out what people like me join the public service for, to be conformed and to have some security as you get old. So yes, it's a climate that warrants consideration, but when things were perhaps good, you seem not to journey with those who are begging you to do the right thing. Because that pension thing undoubtedly has to be fixed. We can't have people, some one other thing. I wouldn't call names. Somebody called me about a month ago, said to me, more than a month last year, Ray, I'm retiring and I did 37 years teaching and home. And all that was coming was the NIS to say, oh, she was not in this and was not in that. I mean, how do you feel it for a person like that? So the government has to understand that workers in the public service are generally ordinary people. The teachers are ordinary people. You know, they're not just the upper class that can make it on their own because their father has stocks and bonds and the Wall Street or businesses. But some of these people are like me. The monthly check is what you live by. So I still maintain, yes, difficult times. Yes, I understand the climate, but you need to make good. And you need to demonstrate that from there on, you are going to be principled, you are going to be honest, you're not going to be trickery. So I'm saying on that basis, on the basis of going forward, to bring a relationship back to 2013. I am saying you have to find it under the mattress, as you found the 63 million US to pay for all these things. Yes, I know COVID is costly. Yes, I know we have to sustain many projects in Grenada, education, but I'm saying you have to journey with the workers on this occasion.
On that note, Mr. Roberts, let's take a break and then we're going to come back and continue the discussion. This is To The Point with Ray Roberts. We'll be right back.
Now we can stay safe while at the same time reducing our budget to maintain a clean and safe environment at our home, school, office, church, or even on the bus. Fortune Foods has gone a long way to source premium products that are at least 30 to 50% less than other brands. That's right, 30 to 50% cheaper than other brands. We have a multi-purpose 80% strength liquid sanitizer for cleaning surfaces that is also safe on hands, as well as 70 to 75% gel sanitizers available in 1 gallon and smaller sizes. Plus, when you buy in bulk, you save even more. Right now, every dollar counts. Be wise. Sanitize with Fortune Foods' range of sanitizing products.
Distributed by Fortune Foods Company Limited, Tempe, St. George's. Telephone 435-2247.
Exploring the beaten trails, discovering uncharted terrain, connecting with people and places, giving a renewed appreciation for our flora and fauna. We are out and about. From the crystal white sands of Grandin's Beach to the cascading and majestic tumble of Concord Falls, the meandering of the St. John's River, or our undulating mountain ranges. We are out and about. Saturdays, live on GBN Television, our Facebook page, and our YouTube channel. Out and about, rediscovering the untamed beauty of Spice Country.
Grenada's chief medical officer has ordered that all confirmed positive COVID-19 individuals, their contacts, and members of their household must remain in quarantine or isolation for 14 days. Anyone who fails to comply with this order will be in breach of the Public Health COVID-19 Regulations 2020 and is guilty of an offense. Upon summary conviction, that person will be liable to a penalty of up to $10,000. A message from the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back to The Point, speaking with NDC's caretaker for the South and former workers' representative in the Senate, Ray Roberts. Let us open the phone lines to our viewers and listeners who may have questions for Mr. Roberts. Landline 435-2041. That's also the WhatsApp number. Please, only written messages on WhatsApp. And you can also post your comments, questions, queries, concerns on the GBN, Grenada Broadcasting Network's Facebook page and the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel. Let's go to our first caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Blossom, and good morning to you, by the way. Thank you for continuing to educate us. You bring a ray of sunshine to our lives, and we are eternally grateful. You continue to inform, to educate, and to be there with the people. God bless you, and continue to do what you do. And before I leave, I cannot help but to say thank you for the gentleman who represented last week. He did an excellent job. There is hope. When I listen to young people deliver it like that, and I just can't help but feel we ought to give the young people a little more chance to, exercise themselves and continue to be strong, do the work. And it really doesn't feel well when you hear parliamentarians boasting about 15 seats again. Where is democracy? We ought to do better than that. And at the end of the day, when something goes wrong, they expect the opposition to come out and demonstrate. Demonstrate for what? so they can beat us, so they can say we are not distancing. Continue to do the good thing. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, caller. Mr. Roberts?
Well, thank you, my friend. I want to wish you very well. I hope that the new year started good for you. And again, as I said, there are going to be trials, there are going to be tribulation in this period. It doesn't look like we'll be away from COVID and the consequences in a hurry. So I trust that you will do things that are wise in terms of you and your family and balance life. And thanks for complimenting Ron. Ron is one of the talented young persons in our group and really committed, I think, to Grenada. He's very ambitious. He's at SGU and doing very well. So he's not just a talker. He's a young man who is keen on developing himself professionally. And the fact that he's in politics, certainly he needs the capacity so he can make a contribution that is of substance.
Speaking of the young people in the party, that jogs my memory of a call made recently about the leadership of the NDC going forward. What are the latest, I should say, as the party looks to fill that position?
Well, let me first of all debunk a nonsense that has no merit and has no substance and will not even be thought of about you be searching for a leader. We have 20-something thousand people who voted for us. Many of them are members. They are doctors, they are engineers, they are scientists, they are economists. So we are confident that within that family, we can deliver something of the highest quality, something that is substantially greater than what we're seeing today, both morally and ethically. So that's nonsense about you looking for somebody. Those idiots that saying that, then you have to be an idiot to be saying that. So we got 20-something thousand people voting. We have a convention, the last convention. There were over 1,000 delegates and another 2,000 observers. I mean, we can't find a leader from that. I mean, we don't want a king, neither an emperor. So we are going, when the time is right, we are going to deliver somebody that is democratically elected. If you look at our party, we try to do everything openly, transparently. We don't crown kings and blindly follow. I mean, I want to commend the opposition leader here because I listened to him and to me, he was the only brain that functioned in Parliament the last time. Unfortunately, Tony is Anthony Boson, Honorable Anthony Boson is one I sometimes listen to. But I think Tonton is losing it now. And when I heard my friend Oliver, Minister Oliver, I really wondered if he left that brain in St. David's on that day. I'm saying to say that when you hear the rhetorical behavior, cheap electricity and NDC sold out, the people. I mean, these fellas are blind to their leader. $58 million for a shrimp factory in Victoria. Grenadian passport was sold. We didn't see a penny, not a penny. In fact, Victoria still is the poorest parish in the country. I mean, and people laboring on NDC gave away a company that turned out to be the best company. Today is the best company in Grenada. Ask the workers. You look at the service Grenneck delivers to you. Where's the shrimp factory? A couple crooks came here and sell our passport, take the money and go away. Couldn't we have used that money? That's why I said I admire Dominica, although I have my reservation. But they're using a lot of that money to help pay for their community college students. They have increased the quality of their healthcare. They have about 3 health centers or medical stations that are equipped with some of the things that only in the General Hospital in St. George's. So you can see some things are being done. But, I mean, it is absurd to just say that in 1994, I set out. I mean, and let me get back to the other thing. Why I thought the opposition leader was wonderful. He made an observation, which I hope stick with many people. He pointed to one gentleman who served on the, who's serving on the parliamentary accounts committee. I mean, you check the track record of this gentleman. State enterprise, not one. two major ones. That is, we can account basically for what happened. And you're part of the CBI, which we have not seen any reports, any audited statement published in the newspaper. So you know, on the Public Accounts Committee, I mean, could I believe what is on a committee like that? Could I believe the real facts are being shown in the light? Or there's somebody with the Donald Trump method team creating their own truth? And that's the problem I have with much of what I'm seeing in Grenada. There are a few of us who seemingly, I mean, I don't want to, like, I'm a believer in heaven, so I'm trying to go to heaven. I have some sins, I know, but I'm trying to walk at it. But I find there are too many of us who, because of money, seems to delete everything else in our brain. It's just the money that counts. So I wish to commend the opposition leader on that particular issue. And I thought his research was very good too. And I hope people in Grenada learn from that. Yes, I meet people 15-0. And I said, it's 15-0. But are you helping the country? You're not helping the country. So I would say NDC, and I say that from my heart, and I believe that's what NDC stands for too. We want to be elected on merit of substance, telling people what we want to hold ourselves accountable for. There's a manifesto, you'll see our trend of thinking. We don't want to trick you. I mean, I know a lot of money could make a difference. You can buy a lot with money, but what you can't buy with money is decency. So, my friend, we are going to continue the journey. Winning is everything sometimes, but sometimes the journey is worth the journey even without winning. And our party is not deterred. Our party continues to work. We're speaking for what, 41, almost 42% of the population. So we are a significant number. We hope that those of us are people who have been impacted, because they are impacted. You know, I'm a supporter of the Imani program, but we transition into a more trade-oriented thing, because as I said to people, we can't continue with what we have here, because these people are going to get old too. And I use people who have been skilled as a result of neuro, and in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, they're not state employed. They are self-employed, employing others. So we need to look at these things. And I will tell, those of us who are negatively saying 15 million without looking at what we have to offer, take a minute or two, look at what we have to offer, compare it with the other side, compare the trickery that you have been laughing and enjoying. Have you seen gas? Some Russians, I don't know. I mean, I was in Parliament when you were walking with short pants. So that was the respect for Grenadians. And again, I have on the citizenship by investment, because it's making a lot of money. We need to have the state account for where that money is. What is the money in the transformation fund? All I know, I could count about 10 millionaires who selling passports. I mean, I'm glad for them, they're pretty rich now. But the bigger population, there are about 20 people selling passports. So all they do is a 10% on every passport, or 15%, whatever. So they don't have no voice anymore, actually, on what is right and what is wrong. They're just enjoying the pie. But there's a greater consequence. People are suffering.
Let's go back to the phone lines. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, Blossom, and all your followers, and good morning to Brother Ray. I would like to restrict my comment or question to the labor situation. And a lot of people are being deceived, and they're mistakenly agreeing with government on the matter of separating the salary review and a pension, and the status of the workers, the temporary workers. Now, if you give me a minute, a quick example. If two persons start working for $100, one is temporary, one is permanent. The permanent one starts with a salary scale at the minimum, and that salary scale will cover an increment every year of work. And over the 4 years of that contract, it may be 5%, $5 more. At the end of the first 4 years, that person is getting $120. when this salary is reviewed next time, that person, so they get $105 the first year, then another $5 every year increment. It goes up after 4 years to $120. That one who's temporary is still on $100. That person who is permanent, when the salary is revised the next time after the end of the 4-year cycle, they may have a salary range that starts from $130 to $160. So they keep going up. After 20 years, that person who is permanent, their salary would have almost doubled because they are getting increments all the time. Now, the person who is permanent, who is temporary, they don't have any salary scale. You start on 100, you remain on 100. The only time you move is when there is a revision of salary. If they change that 100 now to 115, then your salary goes to 115, and the person who was on 100, who was a permanent, they are moving from that 125 to the top of that scale, which may be about 160. So the person who is temporary is just being stuck there. They can't move. There is no increment any year. And the only time they benefit is when there is a revision of that salary. So the unions are correct. You cannot just say, forget or defer the increments or the revision, because the people, especially who are temporary, you are sticking them on that $100 for a long, long time. And this is inhumane. It is criminal. The number of years we are keeping people temporary. Not only can't they go to the bank, but we're sticking them on a salary that has no scale, that is going nowhere. This is a sin.
Okay.
This is a sin.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Roberts?
Well, I certainly want to agree with Jude in that respect, because when I joined the service, as I said, you were subject to do some things, and once you did it, you were rewarded with confirmation. And I certainly find it strange today that things have changed to the point where people may go through an entire 3 decades and remain either temporary, and they have the qualification. So we need to begin to think about these things. They may be small things. Yes, it's good to see big hotels and to talk, all these fanciful things. But as we see now, COVID has changed a lot of things. One of the things the NDC certainly is engaging at this time. The 2018 Man Manifesto has to be reviewed in the context of the post-COVID. I mean, it clearly shows that we cannot put all our eggs in one basket, tourism and selling passport, because nothing is happening right now. So maybe we need to have a skilled workforce that is more IT-oriented, more service-oriented. Yes, agriculture must be part of the picture, but the point I'm making, you have to recognize that COVID has changed the dynamics tremendously, and it can be. We have oil. We have if we really have oil, maybe it is time to get the generation that we have now that in TAMCC to become geologists, whatever the science that is required. But clearly, our party is embarking on that process, getting the people who are worthy of being in that part of, documenting that kind of information. So we are doing some things as a party to be even more relevant in the post-COVID period, and that is important. You cannot just continue where you are, because you're seeing the consequences right now. All the hotels are empty.
There's a question on Facebook that asks, is the NNP prepared for an early election?
Well, you can't put that beyond the NNP. I mean, they in the ascendancy.
Sorry, what I said, the NNP, if the NDC is prepared for an early election, sorry.
Well, let's put it this way. We are not covered. It depends what you're saying. We have a team that is working. We have caretakers that are interim caretakers. Some of them clearly not going to run again. But the point I'm making there, in Karakou, my dear friend Tevin is doing a wonderful job. He has been the leader in terms of scrutinizing. Yes, he has a smaller number. In the south, it's what? 9,000, let's call it 10,000. So that's a greater number to attend to. And the Northeast, you have what, 7,000, St. David's, almost 9,000. So at different stages, people are doing what is necessary. But I would say that the challenge we face is that you can't aggressively go out there, because house to house is the key in anything. Even in the United States, house to house is what makes the difference. You touch base with people, you feel the pulse, and you know what you have to do. Yes, we're doing a bit of that, but it is not intensified the way we want it to intensify it, because I'll tell you the truth. I am one of those who believe that you have to recognize that while somebody may not tell you don't come in the yard, you have to recognize that you have to show sensitivity. And we are doing that. I know in South, some of our people are journeying Sundays to various areas, and they're doing it in that disciplined form, not in large crowds. But we would certainly have liked to turn out with 100 in a polling division. I mean, document as much as we can. But again, the challenge is COVID has restricted us. But I would say to you that we are ready. I just told you that we are reviewing our manifesto. We see it in a new light. So that is part of the work I told you about the women's group. They're engaging. We are trying to work to get the youth group in a more dynamic form. Individuals that they're running, Kareem, James, they are all there and doing their part. But clearly we need to beef up, because quite rightly, an election can be called. Well, I don't think it could be called right now, because from what we have heard from several of the constituency offices is that the numbers of re-registration is not what perhaps it should be at this time. So, I mean, even the last release we got from the electoral office, you will see that the numbers far from what the numbers were in 2018. So yes, they could call it election, and we are conscious of that. And the strategists are thinking about other ways that we can reach. And we're trying to be more media, and we're trying to be more social media, and every technology. But quite rightly, the essence is being on the ground. There's no replacement for that.
Mr. Roberts, thank you so much for passing through and being our guest this morning on To The Point. Any final thoughts? 30 seconds.
Well, again, I want to express my solidarity with not just the public officers and teachers, but the Spice Island workers too, and all workers in general, and particularly those who have been hit the hardest by COVID. I mean, I feel the pain of mothers in particular, because they are the ones who do a job that we, sometimes fathers, neglect and avoid. So again, I want to offer you my prayers and solidarity, and pray that things will be better in the future. Thanks a lot, Blossom. As usual, very enthusiastic, Blossom, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. Blessings on you as well, Mr. Roberts. Stay safe and continue to observe the protocols and stay COVID-free.
Thank you.
All right. Our guest this morning, NDC caretaker for the South and former workers representative in the Senate, Ray Roberts. We thank him for being our guest, and thank you, our viewers and listeners, for tuning into To The Point this morning. Always appreciate your listenership, your viewership, and your time. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning, God willing. Joseph is up next with the mid-morning buzz. Have yourselves a safe, productive Tuesday. Be good, be safe. Have a good one.